Welcome back, Canaries. I sat down fully prepared to talk about attraction and chemistry and flirting. I was going to do sex. Although, full transparency, I probably shouldn't be leading a deep dive on sex right now, considering I haven't been late since January. Now that I'm saying that out loud, it feels a little bold. Probably should edit that out. Like, maybe I'm less of an expert and more like someone who assesses historical documents. Like David Attenborough, you hear that voice where he's like, "Here we observe a woman in prolonged solitude. Remarkable. The species survives primarily on female friendships, iced coffee, and refusing to text first." Okay, honestly though, give me another week or two so I can remember how all of that stuff works and dust off that portal between my thighs I was talking about. Search some of the old archives. Because apparently my uterus heard me prepping for that episode and said, no, not sex. Before we discuss attraction, we're discussing the monthly government shutdown happening inside of your body right now. PMS hit like a ton of bricks. I wasn't thinking about chemistry anymore. I was thinking, why am I so exhausted? And why did I almost cry over an avocado? And so unfortunately, this became her podcast. And when I say her, I mean my uterus. You know what? For the sake of the episode, and because we just came off this like Artemis mythology spiral, we're going to call my uterus Persephone now. And I'm choosing Persephone because PMS feels like Hades, god of the underworld. Is that dramatic? Perhaps. But it's feeling pretty real right now. Every month it's like Hades looks up and goes, you know what? You've had enough sunlight. And then it drags me into the darkness and into acne and cravings, and somebody chewing nearby suddenly becomes like this personal attack. So today, instead of talking about sex, we're talking about women's cycles. I'm obviously actively in my luteal phase. For anyone who doesn't know, premenstrual cycle, the calm before the storm of the bloodbath. I wish I knew how to put tunes in here. I would go dun dun dun. Actually, I think I have one. It's that part where your hormones shift, energy drops, my body enters what I can only describe as an emotionally unstable bear preparing for hibernation. Like I'm eating everything. And I really can't promise a high level of self-awareness in this episode, guys, or focus, but whatever. HerCanary was built on coming literally as we are today, and I'm exhausted and a little unstable and potentially retaining enough water to qualify as an entire fucking wetland. But here we are with a topic that I'm actively living in. And that avocado wasn't a joke that I said earlier. I almost cried over an avocado yesterday. The avocado wasn't like rotten or anything. It just wasn't the level of ripe I wanted. Where you cut into it, but then you realize it and it's too late. And I felt betrayed. Like even my produce disappoints me now. And I know women listening are like smiling or laughing because you know exactly what I mean, where that tiny thing just makes you burst into tears and you're just like, why am I like this? I don't know why I'm crying. There's like this stretch that's maybe 3 days before your period where suddenly your jeans fit wrong and your skin changes and everybody's tone sounds like suspicious. Like I thought the lady at the coffee stand for sure hated me. And you're sitting there just feeling like your whole life is collapsing. And then your period starts and you're like, oh, I knew I wasn't crazy. I was just entering the next phase of my cycle, not becoming a bridge troll. And for years I thought maybe I'm personally impossible to understand. And now I'm like, no, I'm seasonal. The trees aren't unstable because they don't bloom year round. And something kind of weird happens during PMS. Really, just they don't talk about enough. Underneath the exhaustion and the bloating and the wanting to become one with your blanket, there's this ache. We want comfort, not attention. It's different. I want someone who's gentle and kind and will brush my hair and tuck it behind my ear while I'm half asleep and bring me snacks, stroke my arm, and just exist quietly beside me. And God, don't talk. For the love of God, don't talk. Do not ruin it by speaking, gentlemen. We don't need motivational speeches, no observations, nothing like that. Because PMS is existing inside of it just feels so obnoxious and tiring. I want comfort, not stimulation. And girls, imagine being in tune enough and understanding that about yourself that you can actually say out loud, hey, I don't need fixing. I need some kind of softness. It's relationship information. And then there's that conflicting thing that happens when, while I'm craving care and comfort and gentleness, I also feel like less lovable. And it sounds really sad when I say it out loud, but girls, you get what I'm saying, because PMS me is bloated and my face changes and I'm retaining enough water to qualify for that wetland I was talking about. And my hair looks confused. And I'm probably wearing a sweatshirt 3 times too big for me. Like this one I'm wearing, I literally bought in the men's section because I was so mad that I haven't had a man give me his sweatshirt in so long. I bought my own from the men's section so that I could hide inside of it like a fucking turtle every time my cycle hit the luteal phase. And somewhere, a lot of us girls learned that you receive affection when you're pleasant, when you're pretty, when you're easy, when you're giving, not when you're tired, not when your body is messy. Which means sometimes the phase where I crave companionship the most is the exact phase where I feel the least deserving of it. I'm the most scared to ask for it because PMS me isn't performing, not particularly well. She's not polished. She's not flirty. I don't have like this veil of kindness stuck in me. It's a different management system. Ovulation me, she's dangerous, okay? Ovulation me sees men carrying plywood at Home Depot and biology immediately goes, ooh, a strong provider. Look at those forearms. Hey, daddy. I'm so embarrassing. And PMS me sees a man and wonders like, why are you talking? I saw this clip recently. I think it was from the Giggly Squad or something. A guy spoke up in the audience and the woman said, which man just spoke? Is your handler with you? And I laughed way harder than I should have at that. And I'm realizing, oh, that's like PMS level humor. But seriously, this state of being, this portion of my cycle actually wonders, would you still be kind if I bled through my sweatbands? Would you bring me chocolate or coffee? Would you brush my hair and let me sleep, like just sleep? Would you let me just rest near you without expecting me to be pretty first or like stroke your ego first or to be productive or performative? Because honestly, I have no space for soul sucking today. And I know I'm trickling in crude humor, but those questions, the sweatpants questions, the chocolate questions, I trust those because ovulation asks, can you excite me? Would you have good breeding? And PMS says, can you comfort me without gaining something in return? I dated someone for a bit and his thing was like movies constantly, always had a movie on. And I remember not understanding it at first because I'm more of a book girl. It's something about his ability to rest. It helped my brain slow down too. He was excellent during PMS season because when my brain wanted to jump to the past or sprint to the future, he could just exist in the present. And it became one of my favorite things about him. I even fell in love with a couple specific movie scenes because of him. Good Will Hunting is now tattooed into me. And that became really attractive. And now that I'm thinking about it, PMS may actually be like a stricter interviewer. Like really think about it. Biology has incredibly inconvenient systems for procreation. And your body spent part of the month preparing. Hormones rise, egg releases, your body goes excellent, potential baby situation, prepare snacks, fluff pillows, tiny biological Airbnb, and then nothing. No fertilization, no one moved in, and your uterus is confused and basically like, okay, but all of this preparation and we're choosing peace and independence. You're going to keep your single girl life after everything I've done for your baby dome, right? The egg doesn't understand modern dating. The egg doesn't understand healing phases. The egg doesn't understand that when you text men and ask what their intentions are, they reply with, haha, 3 business days later. The egg doesn't have to experience any of that. The egg only knows, I prepared this room and nobody arrived and now I'm upset. And meanwhile, you're standing in the mirror convinced that you've gained 80 pounds and your uterus is totally dismantling your insides. It's shedding organ lining like a contractor demoing a drywall. You didn't make us a baby. That explanation is aggressively oversimplified, but it's not totally wrong because hormones are doing actual things here. They have jobs. This isn't women being unstable or inventing problems. There's like tiny little chemical managers running operations inside of us, like dopamine. Everyone's heard of dopamine. Dopamine is one of the brain chemicals that are tied pretty heavily to things like motivation and reward, anticipation and learning, and definitely pleasure. And it's part of the same reward system involved when we experience things like food or social connection or achievement, sex, even a lot of addictive behaviors. And dopamine isn't necessarily, I like this. Dopamine is often closer to like a notification system that tells you this could be a reward. Anticipation, like something has the potential for the reward feeling. So like a new crush, text notification from someone you like, dopamine. Someone remembering your coffee order, dopamine. This explains so much about dating because sometimes women will think I'm obsessed with him. And respectfully, you're obsessed with uncertainty. And your brain loves the maybe. It loves the potential. And then there's estrogen. Estrogen it's like spring is the best way I can think to explain it. It's more energy, more social, sometimes more confident, replying to texts, hydrating, making plans, thinking, hey, I'm ready to change my whole life. Ovulation estrogen. Suddenly every man carrying groceries or a man who rolls his sleeves up and tightens ratchet straps properly. Ooh. And the part of me that's been peacefully minding her own fucking business since January is suddenly like, oh baby, we clocking in. Persephone, is that springtime? You beautiful, beautiful goddess. Come on out. Knock the cobwebs off that between your thighs. But the realistic part of me, the exhausted PMS underworld version, is immediately like, bitch, he tied down a lawnmower. Sit down and close your legs. And estrogen made me wonder something like, why do women shame themselves for not staying in this version all month? The productive version, the social version, the attractive version. Why are women expected to bloom year round? Like I said, trees don't. And then there's progesterone. Progesterone, blanket energy. It's lower lights, canceled plans. It's basically your body showing up with a clipboard like, well, this month's mission was unsuccessful. Gather snacks and blankets. We're shutting down operations while I reset the room that you failed to use. And funny enough, progesterone rises after ovulation because your body is preparing for a potential baby, potential pregnancy. You realize, oh, I'm not lazy. My body is asking for something. How many women spend years fighting versions of themselves that were just asking for rest? And obviously that one sat weird with me because I'm really good at pushing. The irony of me writing and recording this episode despite currently being in the PMS state of exhaustion, the working, the carrying, I'm good at that. What I'm not good at is receiving and stopping, slowing down. This is the part where I tell women something that I'm also actively telling myself and trying to learn, and that's cut yourself some fucking slack. Seriously. I always think of it in terms of my sister. Or your sister, your friend was exhausted and bloating and cramping and holding everything together. You wouldn't call her dramatic. You'd hand her a fucking blanket. And if there's men listening, the dads and the partners, understand sometimes women are not asking for solutions. Sometimes our bodies are just doing a tremendous amount of work, and support can sound like, me a hug, lay down. I brought snacks. So women are taught to override themselves and then wonder why we're tired. As I'm writing this episode, I'm reading and I find out that there's countries where women can actually take like menstrual leave. Japan has had policies around this for decades, and Spain recently passed laws about leave for severe period symptoms, meaning somebody somewhere looked at this and started to take it seriously, the fatigue and the hormone shifts, the bleeding, the shedding of uterine lining, and went, yeah, this probably affects people. And I just sat there like, why the fuck is this not more mainstream? Dude, being in carpentry and bleeding everywhere was so rough, and I was the only girl most times. No one got it. What I learned instead, and what most women learned was take an ibuprofen, go to work, push through it, smile, don't try not to bleed through your pants. You don't want to make anyone else uncomfortable, and don't mention it. Just carry on. Meanwhile, over here crying over avocados and questioning every relationship I've ever been part of. Hades has dragged me into the underworld. But, sure, let's pretend nothing biological is occurring. So how many of those moments were never about a woman's character and it was just biology that nobody explained properly? Why the hell did we normalize suffering quietly? Because if my body can alter energy, patience, hunger, desire, rest, and pain tolerance, why would understanding that not be really good relationship information? Let's move to the actual bloodbath portion of the episode, because PMS is one thing, but periods are another. It's a different battlefield. And I'm about to tell you a story that I am positive is going to split the audience in half, because half of you, what I imagine is the women, are going to be nodding or laughing, and the other half, particularly men, are slowly going to be recoiling, potentially checking out. Like, this is too much for me. But stay with me, because maybe there's a growth thing that could happen. Or maybe I just think it's funny to watch you boys squirm. You'll never know unless you listen. There was a guy I dated for a bit and I liked him. I really liked him, which honestly makes this worse, right? Because embarrassment gets so much louder when you give a shit, when you care. And we were having sex. It was good, right? Enjoying myself. And what followed looked less like intimacy and more like we accidentally stumbled into a moderately violent crime scene. There was blood. And I'm not talking cute movie blood, not like, oops, a small amount of blood. It was enough blood that I remember seeing his hand covered and having this immediate wave of like, oh my God, I'm disgusting and I have ruined this sexy moment. And you know that hot panic, the one women get taught really early on, where your body does something human and suddenly you're apologizing for like existing inside of it. It was that. Looking at him, and he literally held up a blood covered palm, and my brain was already spiraling, immediately went like, oh fuck, I am so sorry. And instead of acting grossed out, instead of shame, instead of making me feel like I needed to like disappear or hide, this man looked at his hand and he joked about using it as war paint. Like, you know, the Lion King in that dramatic like forehead swipe? It was that energy. They were being partially horrified. Like, sir, please take this seriously. There has been an incident. He was so calm and so funny, and he was completely unbothered. The energy was basically like, girl, it's just blood. Nobody died. He was so nonchalant about it. And something happened in me right there, because what I thought I wanted from partners was like this attraction and chemistry, right? This intense sex and excitement. No, part of what I wanted was emotional safety. Because in one of the moments I felt messy and bloated and embarrassed and human, I wasn't treated like something gross. I was treated like it was a normal Tuesday. Guys, the amount of affection I felt for him in that moment, it was insane. And I know it's probably not the most conventional moment to realize you're carrying love for someone, but I felt it. I felt seen in some way and accepted. And acceptance is attractive behavior. A person looking at the parts of you that society taught you to hide. A natural, instinctual part of me, like, my heart heart, because the question underneath all of it wasn't, will someone love me when I'm pretty? The question was, will someone be gentle with me when I'm inconvenient, when I'm not a service system? And I'll tell you this, after that, all my standards changed. I realized I need partners who don't fear biology or blood or exhaustion. Because one day, if I build a life with somebody, there's going to be sickness, there's going to be kids, there's going to be pain, bodies changing, and hard seasons. So pick the person who can hold softness and blood in the same hand. Pick the guy who'd wear your blood like war paint and continue on. There's this scene in Game of Thrones with Daenerys, and she's covered in blood and she's eating this horse heart. And I got obsessed with it. And it's not because the blood is sexy, right? Although I gotta say, something about men being willing to bathe in my blood really gets me going. But jokes aside, if I remember it correctly, the point of this scene was like a sacrifice, an endurance, a strength. She was suffering through something difficult in honor of something bigger, in honor of this connective piece in his culture, and somehow becoming more respected because of it. She was more admired, not less. And women ache for that too. In the same way that we honor men's suffering. Sometimes the calloused hands and the tan lines from the sun beating over them all day. I love a man who walks in the house smelling like tree sap and fresh cut cedar. Knuckles split open from reaching into places that bolts should have never been placed. Exhaustion worn like proof, evidence of endurance. And people look at that and they think hardworking and capable and strong. Meanwhile, women's suffering gets hidden. Because I remember looking at this man with enough of my own blood on him to recreate some low budget Viking initiation ritual and thinking, why am I so much more attracted to you right now? The thing my body does, the messy thing, the painful thing, and the thing tied to cycles and fertility and womanhood. Nobody flinched, nobody recoiled. No one asked me to hide my body, and no one made me feel like this version of me should disappear until it became prettier. And my body found that really attractive. The bloodbath didn't make me feel sexy, but his reaction to it did. It wasn't, oh, he still wants me. What it was something messy happened and I wasn't reduced by it. And so eventually, the bleeding stops. Persephone crawls back out of the underworld and the cave phase ends and your body enters the follicular phase, which sounds less like female biology and more like some kind of probiotic yogurt. But the follicular phase, this phase, is where estrogen starts rising again. Energy comes back, brain fog lifts a little, hope starts to return after spending a week wrapped in a blanket like a burrito. You suddenly wake up one morning and you're like, you know what? Actually, maybe life is beautiful. No, seriously, the switch up is terrifying because now I'm suddenly concerned about drinking enough water and hydrating. I'm buying vegetables with hope in my heart again. I'm making plans I absolutely will not want to attend in 12 business days. And this part is where your body starts quietly preparing for ovulation, which honestly feels biologically suspicious because the confidence boost, suddenly like every one of my outfits work again. Music sounds better and my hair has got personality to it. And I'm making eye contact in public. What? I wasn't just emotionally attached to bread 4 days ago. And this phase, I sometimes plan entire life events around. This phase is the moment after your period where you catch yourself in your reflection on and you're like, oh, hey, there she is. Welcome back, queen. This phase is so dangerous because this is usually the phase where women start saying things like, maybe I should date again. Ma'am, you were crying over produce on Tuesday. Can you relax for a second? And then ovulation arrives, which feels less like a hormonal shift and more like your body getting possessed by a motivational speaker with like a breeding kink. Seriously, ovulation is insane because suddenly after weeks of Persephone dragging herself through the underworld, wrapped in these oversized sweatshirts, your body wakes up like, ladies, we're fertile, release the confidence. And the chemical switch is violent because this is the phase where estrogen peaks. It gets higher, testosterone rises too, and your libido usually increases. Energy increases, and your body is biologically trying to make reproduction seem like a phenomenal idea, which explains like so much because ovulation me, she walks different, she talks different, she makes eye contact with people on purpose, like ew. And suddenly every song sounds sexual. I shave my legs with ambition. And the attraction shift is embarrassing because this is where we need to be really honest with ourselves here. Like if I like you when I'm ovulating, whoop-de-fucking-do, right? Biology chose you along with half of the county, right? If I got a crush on you when I'm ovulating, just not specialized. This is not your Nobel Prize. My hormones are out here conducting community outreach programs. A man rolls up his sleeves, a man smells good, a man lifts something heavy into the back of his truck correctly. He parallel parks confidently, and suddenly my reproductive system is like sending text to the group chat like, girls, I am interested. Ma'am, he opened a pickle jar. Stop. This is why understanding cycles matters, because ovulation can make you feel like something is fated, like it's cosmic or spiritual. Meanwhile, scientifically, your body is just literally more biologically motivated towards mating during this phase. And some women will shame themselves for this too, like desire or wanting or flirting, sexual confidence, like somehow being turned on makes you less intelligent. No, sometimes your body is biologically online. And honestly, ovulation is so fun. This is a phase where sex feels playful again, and chemistry feels exciting. You want to be touched, to be wanted, to be consumed a little. And it's interesting because after spending the beginning of this episode talking about safety and rest and softness, I also think women deserve room for this side of it too. The version that wants and the version that has hunger to it. The version that walks past a man with his hat on backwards and has to wipe the drool from her lips. Yes, that has happened to me. And maybe that's the balance that Artemis was trying to teach us, right? It was never about fear. It was about ownership, because women were never meant to disappear from desire. We should be embracing sexual chemistry too. We just need to know when it's safe to enjoy it. And honestly, tracking my cycle has become one of the most validating things I have ever done. It sounds silly to be like opening an app because I cried looking at an avocado, or I suddenly hate every shirt that I own. But like seriously, like my app I use is the Maya app, but there are tons of free versions available. And there have been so many moments where I'm spiraling and I'm thinking my life is over, or I'm ugly, or nobody understands me. I should disappear into the woods and live with raccoons like the swamp witch that I clearly am. And then I check the app and I look at it calmly, sitting there like, girl, you're 4 days out from your period. You know what? I think perhaps today I shouldn't text him because that kind of awareness changed a lot about me. Now I pay attention to what my body's saying. Like, am I actually exhausted, or is Persephone dragging me into the underworld? Again, do I genuinely want isolation, or do I just need someone to bring me snacks and shut the fuck up for 20 minutes? Am I in love with this man, or did he simply roll up his sleeves and make eye contact during ovulation, right? They're all different things. Women deserve that kind of fluency with ourselves. Like, stop shaming or pretending like we should feel exactly the same all month. It's more like, oh, this is what my body's doing. Because the goal isn't becoming one perfectly stable version of yourself. That doesn't exist. Our cycles are these really powerful systems. It's incredible. The things that women's bodies are capable of are so cool. And the goal is more like learning how to listen to them, to all of her, to all of you. The tired version, the hungry version, the horny version, and the version trying to figure out why the accidental bloodbath became one of the most romantic moments of my adult life. All of her. The more I started listening to my body, the less crazy I felt, which has been great for me personally. And for the men I date too, right? I've been known to send my app, the screenshots like weather report. Hey babe, just so you know, Persephone descends Thursday, so bring snacks, lower your voice, and don't make any sudden emotional movement. And I mean that sincerely too, right? Because once I started understanding my cycle, I stopped treating every emotional shift like a personality flaw. And I was able to better communicate with people that I was dating why some days I was climbing their bodies like they were fucking trees, and other days I was curled up in a burrito begging them not to speak to me. Because women's bodies they're incredible. We create life and we tolerate ridiculous amounts of pain. We rebuild ourselves literally monthly. Our hormones shift and energy shifts, our desire shifts. And somehow, inside of all of that chaos, our bodies still know how to love and nurture and bleed and heal and like begin again. It's like tides and like seasons, like the moon pulling entire oceans without ever touching them. Women's bodies are not static things, they are rhythmic. And I think we'd suffer a lot less if we stopped demanding sameness from ourselves all month. So the goal is not to become a perfectly polished version of yourself. It's learning the rhythm of your body and how to read it. And maybe the right people, friends, partners, family, they don't ask you to hide those versions of you. They learn them. So listen to your body, rest when she asks, pay attention when she changes, and let yourself want things without shame. And let people love you there too, because womanhood should have never became a performance. Anyway, Persephone says that it's bedtime, and I'm one ratchet strap away from making irresponsible emotional decisions. Good night, canaries. Till next time.